Hello, and welcome to the University of Pittsburgh iLab PI training. This training is for those who will be PIs, financial admins, or lab managers for a group at the University of Pittsburgh. There is a new URL with the new financial integration that was deployed. That URL is pit.ilab.agilent.com. That will direct you here to the account login screen. Prior to logging in, we will discuss a few items. As a PI, you will not need to register for an iLab account. Your account is already created from the nightly fund file that iLab receives from the University of Pittsburgh. That fund file will include any account numbers that are assigned to your lab as well. If you are required to register for an iLab account, you will need to reach out to the Pitt project team to have your account added to that nightly fund file. From here, to log into iLab, you will use the sign in using Pitt credentials. This will take you to the internal Pitt passport where you will enter your single sign-on username and password. Once you click submit, this will direct you to iLab. It'll take you to the home page. First part of the training is we're going to go ahead and discuss the options and things you have available to you in your lab. In order to access your lab or group, we will go to the left-hand menu. We will come down to manage groups, hover over my groups, and then we will choose the name of your lab. You will also see other labs in here if you're part of those. Click on the lab name. This will take us to the lab. It'll default us onto the members tab here. This is a list of all members within your lab. You'll be able to see active, any expired members. For each member, you will be able to see the auto approval amount, ERP ID, email address, phone number, start date, end date, as well as a few icons on the right-hand side. If we hover over the first one here, this is the group principal investigator. As we come down, we will see a group company manager. A company manager, we also refer to that as a lab manager. A lab manager can work on behalf of the PI for approving requests, receiving invoices, things like that. If we keep coming down, we will see the next icon here is a group member. So there's a few different permission levels. To the right of each icon is a edit button. This will allow you to edit that particular member's information. We see that here. One option I do want to point out is the core financial contact. If we go back to the list, we'll see next to the group company manager or lab manager is a dollar symbol icon here. So this individual is the financial contact for the lab. That individual will receive invoices from cores for particular members. Again, they can work on behalf of the PI as needed. To the right of the members, there is a trash can icon. This will allow you to remove a member from your lab. Down here on the bottom left, you have the ability to link existing users. So anybody that may be new or needs access to your lab, that can be done here. Keep in mind that individual must have an iLab account before they can be added to the lab. As we come back up to the top, we will now look at the lab-wide approval settings. So these are thresholds. These are set typically at the organization level as a default amount. The first one we're looking at is the default notification threshold amount for reservations. So what that means, any and all reservations over $1,000, you as the PI or lab manager will be notified. The second one is the default auto approval threshold. Any and all charges request up to $100 will automatically be approved. Anything over that $100 will require the PI or lab manager to approve. From here, we will move on to the membership request and account numbers tab. The first section is membership request. So a user can request access to your lab. That request will be listed here, and as a lab manager or PI, you have the ability to accept that request or deny it. The next section is manage account numbers. What we will see is that same list of members that are in this lab. Over to the right, we will see the different account numbers that are assigned to your lab. If you hover over that, we will see the fund title or account number title, as well as an expiration date. Below each account number, next to each member's name, you have the ability to assign or unassign those account numbers by simply just clicking in the checkbox. As we come down, our next section is going to be the request access to additional account numbers. So as it says, you'll be able to request access to account numbers that may be non-sponsored or something that generally is not assigned to your account through the fund file. You'll simply fill in the required fields here, click request. That will be sent to the fund approver's lab, and a fund approver will then approve that request. Once that is approved, that account number will then be added in a new column up here in the list. We will go back up to the top and we're going to take a look at our next tab, which is budgets. Here as API Lab Manager, you have the ability to set a budget for your lab. This can track how much your members are spending at certain core facilities or all core facilities. Keep in mind, if you do set a budget, this will not stop your members from making requests in iLab if they do go over that set budget. More of a tracking tool. The final tab we're going to look at is the bulletin board here. This will allow you to send a message to your members, as well as add a new comment, which will be listed here under the bulletin board. All right. Now, if you need to view invoices for your lab members, you can do that by accessing the left-hand menu, choosing the invoice link here. Here we will see a list of invoices that have been generated by cores for your lab members. You'll be able to see the created on date. The newest invoice will be listed at the top. There's a lot more information for each invoice, core, invoice number, the member, the researcher, any payment numbers or account numbers assigned with that invoice, and a few different columns as well, all the way to the right. There are two icons on the right-hand side. You have the ability to add a comment to that particular invoice, as well as view the invoice by clicking on the magnifying glass here. And here we will see that invoice. From here, if there are any requests that require your approval, require payment information as a PI, you have the ability to view those requests for your lab members. To do that, we will click the left-hand menu. We will come down to View Request. There are 4 tabs across the top here. The first one is awaiting approval. So if any requests go over that threshold that is set within your lab, those requests will come here and you will have the ability to approve those requests or deny them. The next tab is require payment information. So if there's any request out there without an account number assigned, you can update that here. The next tab is processing and recently completed, as well as all requests at the very end. This will just pull all those 3 tabs together into one. From here, we're going to move on to reporting. So to access reporting, similar to going to invoices, your lab, you will click the left-hand menu. You will come down to the reporting section here. This will take us to the reporting home, and then you have the lab level reporting. So we can choose spending by all labs. Across the top on the right-hand side are the 4 different reports that can be run. We have charges, request, events, and custom forms. Today, we will use the charges report. We will go ahead and load that default. Here, we will choose a date range for this particular report. So we're going to go back a few months. You can run the report by a specific date. Today, we'll do purchase date. You also have the option for completion, billing event, end date, a few other ones there. You can customize the display if needed. but we'll go ahead and run that report. And here we will see that default charges report. You can see we have data tables listed here. You have filters on the left-hand side if you need to drill down even further into this report. As mentioned, you have a data table. You have the ability to update that chart type if needed. So we can go ahead and move this to a pie or a stacked line, however you want to view it. Across the top on the right-hand side, you have the ability to save this report. So if you do filter down, you can save this report. If you do save it, you have the ability to load a saved report. A few other options here. We can share this report. We can email it. You can export this to a PDF, CSV file, a few options in there, and you can also print this report if necessary. From here, the last option we will look at for you as a PI, the left-hand menu, you have the ability to view the core facilities at the University of Pittsburgh. It is broken down by organization, so we have Hillman, Lower Campus, and Upper Campus. And our final item for discussion today is our help dashboard. To access that, up next to your name on the right-hand side will be a help button. Within our help dashboard, we have a few different options here. We have the help site. This will be a list of different roles, essentially. So if you're managing a group or a PI lab, you have the ability to choose this option here. Within that, there are a few different items that we can discuss or help you on. So if you had questions on membership request and phone numbers, that tab specifically, we have step-by-step instructions as well as screenshots to help you as necessary. If we go back to the dashboard, we have the iLab webinar series. We have a number of webinars over quite a few different topics that can be viewed here as needed. That is it for the iLab University of Pittsburgh PI training. Thank you for your time.